Welcome to Reality After Show coverage of the challenge. This was a big week. We had the mini final. We had three people going home, and including two of, let's say, Paulie's favorite people that we lost this week. So, we're going to have a lot to say. I'm your host, Dan Montchal, joined, as always, Alex Trias, Paulie Calafiore. And we finally got what we've been asking for such a long time. As challenge fans, we look at the landscape of the show, and we've just wanted good to defeat evil. And I'm not talking about the election because I want none of that smoke from Jemmy, the way that she came after Devin.
Oh, Lord. That was brutal.
But Laurel.
Oh, whew. There is a challenge god.
There in fact is.
We always hear about the challenge gods, and they're rigging for everything. Finally, they rigged the right way for once.
Well, I just want to come out and say this because I remember Laurel being extremely vocal towards a certain somebody when, they might have gotten heat stroke in a final and then still finished that final, I might add. When the camera went to her and she's like, I think I'm getting heat stroke. The answer is no, because when you actually have heat stroke, you can't say words. Cue the flashback to War of the Worlds 2. That dead look in my face, not being able to say words, because the only thing that you're thinking about is, not dying. And, saving every breath you have just for breathing, not for even trying to speak. So, I'm going to call bullshit on you thinking you got heat stroke, because you definitely didn't. And then I'm going to simply ask you that quitting after 2 hours in that heat is nothing compared to the final that I had to run in Thailand, which I did not quit, and I did finish after getting heat stroke. So, do I get an apology? I know it's not in your wheelhouse to apologize. Usually, there's a double down to it. You'll probably say that you have a championship or 2 championships, so you don't have to. So you can quit if you want. But I just want to know if there will be an apology at some point.
I'm sure Zach is waiting for that same apology too.
Oh, Zach's been trolling lately.
Oh, he has. But no, you're right. It's just you were just seeing it, and I saw some people talking about it on Twitter, and the vibe was there always where what I bring up last week, when I was the hot take of Aviv or Laurel going out because of just Aviv's foot, and Laurel's not as much of a runner as other people.
That's the other thing I want to say.
Yeah.
They make a big deal about plantar fasciitis. I love you guys challenge producers and editors and everything, but my 2 concussions were not spoken about at all. Plantar fasciitis just means you have tight muscles in your foot. It's not a debilitating injury. I have plantar fasciitis. I run on it. She had neuro tape down her leg. I love Aviv, and I love it, but I just feel like them choosing to focus on a plantar fasciitis as if that would be something and she was running in sand. I'm sorry, but your plantar fasciitis is not acting up running in sand. Maybe if you're barefoot, but not with shoes on.
My only thought there is maybe...
I didn't mean to jump in.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm just getting sick of this shit. Plantar fasciitis? We pick and choose which injuries we want to talk about. It's Nelson breaks a finger in a hall brawl. Kyle breaks a finger in a hall brawl, and it's oh, help, I quit. I got my brain blown out twice, and I was ready to go again if there was more rounds because nobody was stopping me. The doctors weren't coming in and checking if the lights were on, right?
No, absolutely.
And then we got Laurel calling heat stroke just because she didn't want to finish
But you could just see it in Laurel though. It was just there was never a sense of urgency with her when she was even starting that comp. Sure, it's hot. Everyone's experiencing the same heat though. Everyone's experiencing the same exact situation, but she's the only one who's having the issue. And the issue is and I think she would admit it to herself behind closed doors. not in public, it's like she wasn't in cardio shape for this season. She was not. She was not in the same shape that she was in All Stars 4. And even then, everyone was still saying if certain things went a certain way, other people could have outpaced her in a different type of final. But she was just not ready for it. And so she was quitting when there were still like 4 other people, other women down doing the same comp with her. She didn't want to be shown out in a final by other people and get the same criticism that she gave to you and gave to Zach and other people who have blown out in a final.
Here's the thing. She's lucky she is who she is. Because normally TJ would absolutely obliterate somebody that quits, no matter who they are.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. My biggest fear on the show, which is probably why I've almost died multiple times, like whether it be almost breaking my neck in War of the Worlds 1 or heat stroke in War of the Worlds 2, the last thing I want to hear before I make my exit is, so you're telling me you're quitting? Paulie, are you quitting? Like, that is the last thing that I want to hear. And I don't know whether it was said or not, or whether, she was just saved from people hearing it said. But that, to me, it's almost like you're trying to protect somebody who quit. Like, she quit. She didn't, like, lose the purge. Like, if you were going to lose the purge, just lose the purge. You know what I mean? Like, you said, no, I'm done. Like, I'm walking off. Like, if you want to be done, just lose the purge.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if either TJ was told not to say anything or he said something and it wasn't showed, because she's gotten a really favorable edit when more things come out of what happened behind the scenes. Not just with the car stuff that we dove in, in length earlier in the season, but numerous other things. I mean, now she's going after Nerys. Like, she's gone a little bit psycho, and
that Nerys stuff came out of nowhere.
Oh, absolutely out of fucking nowhere.
Left field.
It's pick me. It's pick me energy. Like, I would like to say she's better than this, but she's proven that she's not.
This is who she
was. I had a good conversation with her in Amsterdam.
Really?
Okay. I had a good conversation with her in Amsterdam. I really thought she was turning a new leaf, and then like a week later, that, like, an unprovoked, like, shade thrown at Nerys and Horacio, like, what are we doing here?
The only reason I could think is, I know, Paulie, you're upset about, Avi's plantar fasciitis, which I get it, but I think they threw it in because they needed something. Because there was really no story to say Laurel's going home other than she quit. Because you go back when she's talking with Bananas. Bananas is talking about his father, and we don't get a cutaway of a flashback from home of him with his dad. It's her as a vet, which also being like, I'm very fortunate because I have no debt as a vet. Maybe right away like a doctor, but I'm pretty sure vets do pretty well in life that they don't have debt long term. So it was just weird editing the entire way around. And so I think they were trying to form a storyline of, Laurel goes, until they got halfway through the mini final and the producers just put their hands in the air and were like, I got nothing.
And you know what? I have to put it out there. This makes me want to remove her from the Mount Rushmore. This makes me want there's enough confident and strong women. Well, Tori was already in mine, I think. I think you convinced me.
Okay, I convinced
you convinced me to put her in there, but I can't have a quitter in my top 4. There's too many good other women to put her in. Is she a great elimination competitor? Sure. Unless it's a puzzle. But it's like, don't quit on me. Don't quit on me. That's the one emphasis on the challenge, is no matter if you're dog shit or the best, don't quit on me, and you'll at least have the respect that you've tried and competed and tried to finish.
It's also becoming a pattern, and I get this happened all the way back in Invasions, and she obviously didn't quit, but it's pretty known in the community that she was going to lose that last elimination to Camilla before going into the final because she was not in final shape. And she didn't want to be embarrassed by going to the final and losing to these people that she'd been dogging all season because she was the champ going against these newbies. So we know she threw pretty much that last elimination against Camilla. We now have this where she's quitting. It happens once, you can start to make, extenuating circumstances and explain away. Once it happens a second time, it becomes a pattern. So I think you're onto something, Alex.
It's giving JV. There was a lot of can'ts here. It reminds me of when she called out a certain different type of Cara Maria, and it was just like, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do... She can't handle the heat, she can't do the puzzle, she can't stand that she's not in the shape that she would want to be in to compete in the final against all these other strong women, and let's be real, all the women left are strong women. It's weak behavior from someone who declares herself varsity.
It's, I would agree. And a mini final taking an hour and 6 minutes for the first person to finish.
Emphasis on mini.
Like a real emphasis on mini, because I'll tell you straight up, the tire challenge on War of the Worlds 1, where we were running back and forth with the tires, that took 4 hours. And that was just a back and forth thing. The Junkyard Challenge on War of the Worlds 1, where you had to pull the things back and forth,
rope.
that was a timed hour and a half of how many times you could go back and forth. So it wasn't like once you finish, you finish. Like they really made it seem like Jordan was going to catch Kylan, but then when you really think about it, all you had to do after you solved the puzzle was go up a hill and down a hill, and you finished in the finish line.
Yeah. There was wasn't there like a 3-minute difference also? It's like,
yeah,
in terms of a race, like that's a long time. That's not close.
It's a long time, especially when you're only really going an extra 200 yards. You know what I mean? Like, that means that he solved his puzzle slower, but then got there. It's like, I know the puzzles are supposed to be equalizers, but at least make him run like another mile. Make it interesting. See if Jordan could catch him, because he is faster.
Right, and we don't know the true pacing of how much time, because I think he was over the hill before Jordan even started running to
That's what I'm saying.
Maybe, like you said, maybe if there's an extended amount, a little longer, he does catch up to him because Jordan is faster than Kylan. And not to discredit Kylan, but Kylan has gas, but
Kylan had puzzle skills.
Yes.
Because the thing is, it's at first you don't really know the distance, but then as they're trying to edit in the, oh my God, is Theo gonna make it? Blah 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 blah. It's they're all standing there being I better see him come over the hill right now. It's so you're close enough to see right there over the hill, and be able to cheer people on, and they just come down the hill and run through the finish line. It's come on.
That was my biggest issue with it, was calling it a mini final that's an hour and 6 minutes. And what did we have? We had some running, dig a hole, paddleboard, and puzzle. That's not anything close to a mini final. Give us different checkpoints. You can do different puzzles, but make them different types of puzzles. Maybe you throw in an eating or I don't know, something that's just...
Well, even
make it make
Ride or
sense.
Dies,
they act more.
Right, it's even in Ride or Dies, they had multiple stages. They had a bunch of components that all ultimately ended up being in the final. You did have a memory style challenge, but you also had a dexterity challenge. You had these other crapshoot style things that you had to do along the way. And I don't know if they went day up and were oh, this is obscenely hot, and we're gonna shorten this because who cares? We're purging someone anyway.
It's definitely extremely hot. I'll give him that. Yeah. I like it as a whole. Can we talk about how Tori just blew
Beasted.
everybody out of the water?
Again,
not even
it's
close.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of her performance in USA 2. Like, where a lot of the dailies, she was just a tier above the rest. And she was able to do it better than everyone else.
But you're right with that comparison, but this is a completely different caliber of competition
different
that she's
caliber of
going
competition.
against. And that's what makes it so impressive is, this is now 3-4 weeks that we've been kind of giving her flowers, rightfully so, because she's dominating. I mean, sure, nothing away from the Michaelas and the Chanels and the Cassidys of the world on USA 2. But yeah, Cara, Rachel, Jenny, like this is tough competition, and she isn't just winning; she's dominating these challenges that are endurance based.
But to counter that, how much are the Bananas Angels trying? Like, I'm not like Tori is winning outright. I think even if they were all giving 100%, I think Tori still wins. How close is a different story? Because like Rachel was saying it herself. She's like, I'm in a position where I should not be winning. And she still got second. She still wants to prove that she's a top level of the women. But I feel like she definitely took a tier back, like maybe taking a little extra time doing the memory because she wanted to make sure there was someone far enough ahead of her so that she's not the one making the decisions. Because she's good with Bananas. She's good with Jordan. She's good with Nehemiah. Whoever was there, she didn't want to be the one having to fire a gun at someone and then have the target back on her.
It's true, but I think Rachel would have been the only one that was dialing it back. Like Aviv and her, I get it, plantar fasciitis, not that big of a deal, but she was hurting, and she
got to roll out my foot on a lacrosse ball right now so that my plantar fasciitis allows me to work out again tomorrow.
But whether it was that or something else, she wanted to be done with it. There was nothing with that. And Jenny, I think what we're seeing is a huge level from that cardio concern with always needing the inhaler, that I think Rachel would have been the only one of the Bananas Angels that was dialing it back in this situation, because I don't think the other two could have won this particular daily.
Well, so the thing is, I think Jenny actually has really good cardio. Problem is she has asthma. And she's in an extremely hot and humid place. Gotcha. It makes it damn near impossible to breathe. I think that's what's getting her, but thank God she has her inhaler. I mean, like, every time I see her taking her inhaler, I'm like, thank God she has that, because that's like a recipe for her bronchioles, like, closing up.
Oh, yeah. Like, I remember her not having it on, like, on her during the elimination, and then her like mentioning like, oh, I don't have my inhaler. I'm like, god damn, like in that environment, because I kept like wrapping my head around it, because I'm like, this was never an issue with her on World of Worlds 2, on Total Madness. Like she destroyed everyone in Total Madness in the final. So I was like, her suddenly the message being like, oh, her cardio is shit, didn't like add up to me until I was putting those pieces together. Like, she obviously has asthma, extreme heat, already difficult to breathe. Like her still finishing in the middle of the pack is good. It's good for her considering those factors.
Yeah.
And
she didn't quit, Laurel.
She did not quit. Laurel, she did not quit.
Laurel goes, and that's, I feel like we could talk for a full hour just, dissecting and bashing Laurel. But the biggest surprise to me was Nehemiah. Just because coming into it, if you were going to I think last week you said power rank the guys left in the game.
Oh, we all said bye, Theo.
Oh, yeah.
Not just by
he had the
Theo.
Too.
Yeah.
It isn't just by Theo, but I think last week, a week ago, you asked me, power rank the guys that are remaining in the game. Sure, you have Jordan Bananas 1, 2. I think I would have put Nehemiah 3 or 4. Like, it isn't that, okay, Theo was able to pass him. I thought Nehemiah was more towards the top of the pack, at the very worst, middle of the pack, not in a situation where this could have happened.
Especially with puzzles. I thought he was better.
Same. Yeah. Same.
Which is just, it's crazy, but it just goes to show you that, like, it really is anybody's game, and it comes down to realistically like who stays the calmest under pressure,
Hmm.
right? I mean, Bananas had the lead,
Yeah.
and he kind of messed it up with you know, the order of the seasons in terms of like how they were had that puzzle set up. I didn't really understand how they were matching it up. Was it basically you went under a thing, you saw the season, and then you went across, and there was a number, and then you had to
Yeah,
match that up with
Hmm.
the
numbers that they had
board.
on the
Yeah.
board?
Yep.
Yeah.
But they were across from each other, so it's like you had to like literally run, show it, and then and then try and go. And he was trying to remember three at a time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
honestly, it's always gonna be, are you good at memory or not? And like for someone like Kylan, memory's a little bit better for him than a Bananas, who's historically been very hit or miss when it comes to puzzles or memory comps.
yeah,
Mhm.
So he needed to have that big lead, and he still was able to find a way to squander it because he allowed himself to make mistakes, which is something we're starting to see this back-to-back weeks now, where he's made mental errors in competitions that he should just be understanding all the motions because he's been there, he's done that for 18 years. It's
yeah. I mean, I think it starts to get to you a little bit. At least from like the daily side, might not be as sharp. You may make those mental errors there, but to his credit, he's been pretty sharp.
oh yeah,
Now, granted, the elimination with driving around in a four wheeler, I don't know how sharp you got to be, but this time around, he showed just how sharp he was just by the way he was crawling through the um, tube that he had, and also how he was putting the poles in. Like there was a point where him and Theo had the same amount of poles in, but the way that he put the poles in versus the way that Theo put the poles in, Johnny was still kind of like skating through. Theo was having a hard time. Now, granted, Theo's massive. Like
yeah,
I actually give him credit that he remembers the documentary that he watched about like cave divers
yeah.
Yeah.
swimming through things. Like that's just a wild fun fact to know about how to elongate your body and not be as
hmm
wide.
Hey, and
I was
and
impressed at how he made it through.
yeah, and I'll give him his props because I feel like once the elimination started, like the athlete mentality finally like came back to him, because like now you have the adrenaline pumping. Now you're like, I don't want to be shown up. This is an elimination that's not in my wheelhouse. So let me show them up and show them that I can figure my way out of this. Because what if I do win this? Then everyone has to start looking at me again and being like, well, shit, he won a comp that he's supposed to win. He won a comp that was designed for him to lose. How do we take him out? He's just going to have to be in the final with us, and we'll let him get last in the final.
He's an absolute animal, and I'm pretty sure he told me that like when he was done, one of the producers went to him and was like, the fact that you had that amount of polls in there, like we expected you to be done after like 15 polls were in there. I think he had a crazy number. Like I think there was like 40 something polls
It looked like it towards the
in
end
there.
for both of them. It's just like a crazy amount.
It was really impressive. And to be honest, the fact that when it, got cut down to 30 seconds, that he still almost was getting through
Oh yeah,
is
like
crazy.
yeah. Once you figure out the game, I feel, and that I will give him that credit. Is that like once you figure out what works, you're gonna keep doing it until it no longer works anymore. And that elongating method was the only strategy he could use. There was no other like plan B, where
Yeah.
like Bananas could probably figure out a couple other strategies to get through because he's a smaller
Oh
build.
man, Bananas, I feel like all of the polls could have been in Bananas tube, and it would have just came down to who got through the fastest, which is why I feel like that elimination shouldn't have been like a flipping of a card thing in
Mm-hmm.
order to see who gets two polls versus one. I think it just should have been going rounds of adding polls until all the polls were in, and then it's like whoever gets through all the polls the fastest, or whoever can't get through the polls first.
Well, we had to bring back high-low because everyone loved vendettas, and we took a poll of the audience, and everyone said their favorite part of vendettas was when they brought Johnny back for the final to play high-low with Melissa against people in the finals. And like, we got to find some way to work this into this historic season. Bananas is an elimination. It's high-low time.
I can't tell if you're being serious or not in terms of like people being so
No.
excited about it.
Not even a little bit.
No, it's
No,
like
not
again.
even
Fans have had some weird things that they like. Like, I still don't understand to this day how fans are like, yeah, we love the eating part of the challenge. I'm like, you like watching people eat and throw things up? Like, I have to turn away. Like, if I'm looking at something and throw up happens, I have to turn away. I can't look at it.
Yeah.
Yes.
More in person
that
for
was,
me.
was not completely sarcastic.
Okay.
If there is that weird part of the internet, I haven't stumbled across it. That was just, I just couldn't figure out any other reason for why we needed to bring high-low into it.
There's a Reddit somewhere that really loves high-lows, almost like foot fetish people on OnlyFans. They're out there. You don't understand why, but they're there.
Right. But I agree with both of you. Like, there wasn't truly a need. Like, the high-low was just, like, so not... There was nothing about it that was like, oh, yeah, this matches with what we're doing in the competition. Like, I would have been much rather... Like, I was saying it offline with you guys before we started. I was like, I would have much rather, like, throw back to the high school days of, like, here's the pacer test. You put 8 to 12 polls in there. You give them 1 minute to go back and forth, and then slowly start... speeding up that time, and just see who's the bigger stamina monster. Because then you don't have the excuse of like, oh, I'm too big or too small, because you have a minimal amount of pulls in there. It's just about, do you have enough fire to keep getting through and keep getting through and keep getting through when your body is saying no.
Yeah, and also, if you're putting the time lower and lower every time, where it's like, after you make it through the first round, it goes to 55 seconds, then 50, then 45, then 40, then 30, then 25, right? It also sees not only is your stamina all right, but are you still going to stay as smooth going through it? Because at that point, one slip up in how you go through your usual method of getting through the tube, like, you're done.
Yeah.
Right, because there's different strategies to it. Like, are you just maintaining a pace so you're keeping a constant motion? Are you trying to be fast early on to give yourself maximum amount of like rest time before you have to go back around? It's like there's different strategies to that, as opposed to just like, okay, I got through and I still have like 40 seconds left, so I'm gonna just walk back to TJ and flip over a card. It's like there's just nothing exciting about that, because people will always have their things. It opens up the game for like, oh well, they told Johnny where to cut the deck so that he could start with an advantage at the beginning, and like,
well, if they did, and I'm sure there were a lot of rounds that we didn't see. Bananas was a moron for getting a 10 and going higher, because that was one of his selections.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, we're not playing blackjack here, buddy. Like,
yeah, I think that was the heat probably getting to him. What do we think about the deliberation?
Loved it.
I thought it was great. I would be grossed out.
Oh, yeah, no. I would personally be offended if you're clipping your toenails in front of me and blowing them at me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and clipping your nose hairs.
Yeah, but like, we all knew what this is. They could have not flipped it and just said, okay, meeting done. Like, I love that Tori's still trying to like put out an olive branch, but like, it really does highlight the truth about Bananas. And it's just like, Bananas is a great ally when you are backing him 100%. And as soon as your games go in different directions, he's not able to just be like, okay, bygones be bygones, let the best man win. Like, no, he's going to be petty about it. He's going to be very petty. He's going to hold it over your head. He's going to say how this is the biggest tragedy in the world because I'm always the one who gets betrayed, and I'm always the one who gets backstabbed. I'm the one who always puts trust in you, and that's why my heart is so callous, Tori. It's so callous because I put my trust in you. We did Rumble boxing things together when you were still in Florida.
My journey has been with these 7 championships and my 6-figure guarantee to get off the plane. It's such a hard journey and such a hard life.
Especially telling it to Tori, who just, earlier had Jordans, like, I'm trying to get number 5, or Tori's just like, 5? Like, 2 would be awesome. But
Yeah.
it was great because when we were going into deliberation and Tori wanted to be like, well, maybe I'll hear Bananas out, I get why she was doing that for the show. Cut the bullshit there. We all know there was no way she was throwing in Jordan, so at least this was a moment. And just acting out, what Alex did of reenactment of Bananas. Yeah, Paulie, what's your reaction on, poor Bananas always getting screwed over and, has no friends in this game? And
he does it to himself, for sure. He does it to himself. He put himself in that situation this season, 100%. I don't know what it is. Like, it could be arrogance to kind of be like, hey, I know other people are friends and their friendships might be closer to me, but I'm going to, screw with those things and still expect everybody to be loyal to me. But this is also just another one of those moments where you kind of see the veteran status of Bananas, knowing when to make TV moments. And, even though Tori is a veteran, does not know how to make those TV moments rather than she knows how to react to somebody else making TV moments, right? Because
Right.
I think it would have just been one of those things where if she wanted this to be her moment, she could have walked in and just been like, we don't even need to have a deliberation, so I'm not even going to flip this. Johnny, you're going in. Bye.
Yeah. And
You know what I mean?
yeah,
But he's
and also
smart
it's
enough
just
to see that she's trying to go through the, all right, so we have to have deliberation. And he's like, nope, it's my show now. So
Yeah. And-
very entertaining.
And what she should have done is, like, if her motive was truly like, oh, I want to, like, figure out if there's any way we can squash the beef, like, as, like, friends, and like, hear him out, you should have been like, look, you start the meeting, just go like, look, we all know what this is, we're not going to debate about that, but let's talk right here, me and you, let's squash this right now, and actually have that conversation. Like, maybe there would have been open. I still think the same thing would have happened, but, like, she didn't go about, like, oh, let's mend the fence the right way,
Right.
either.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you also have Kylan in there who's still trying to figure out what's
Kylan
wrong with
was
this blue
irrelevant.
shirt.
I love Bananas essentially, like, because look, is there really any need for the other first place person to even be in the room if they're not involved in the decision making at all? Like,
No.
it was essentially him going like, Kylan, before you say anything, shut the fuck up. Be like your shirt and be a fly on the wall. Just, like, be invisible and let me just throw my toenails at Tori. Please and thank you. Yeah. He's like, oh, what's wrong with my shirt? I'm like,
And he
dude,
did exactly.
no one cares. No one cares. But this is fun, though, in the sense of, like, now that we're getting smaller in numbers as well, it's like, eventually these people are gonna have to pick people that are in their 4, in their 3, and, like, you're starting to see people have more animosity about it, because, like, if we go to the elimination, once again, everyone's yelling at Josh, or more specifically, Michelle's yelling at Josh because Josh is deciding that he needs to root for both people because they're both my friends. But I'm like, dude, are you really working with Theo? Are you really working with him, or are you literally on Banana's side?
My biggest nightmare in the challenge house is being down in elimination while Josh is skating by not seeing an elimination yet and having to hear his voice because he just talks for the sake of talking during an elimination. Like, I have a thing during an elimination where, unless it's like something where I'm like extremely riding for you, or like it's the lines are drawn in the sand and it is what it is, I'm like completely silent during the eliminations because I feel like that is like a level of respect to the two people going to battle in the sand. Like,
right.
On War of the Worlds 1, I used to actually yell at people who would scream for the sake of screaming. Like, somebody's like, come on, guys, like, there's $750,000 in the others. You got to dig deep into it. I'd be like, shut the fuck up, please. And let them just focus on playing against each other. Like, You don't even give a fuck who wins. Why are you talking? Why are you opening your mouth? Like, I
I'm
understand.
hoping for my screen time, buddy.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I understand right now where it's Michelle, Olivia, Tori, split versus Bananas, Rachel, Jenny, and Aviv, right? Like, I understand that. Like, with Michelle sitting there being like, come on, Theo. Olivia being like, come on, Theo. Tori being like, come on, Theo. But Josh sitting there, like, in the middle of the fence, like, come on, Bananas. Great job, Bananas. Come on, Teo. Good job, Teo. And I'm like, why are you talking?
Yeah, like, honestly, I would have been Michelle too. I would have started going off on him and just be like, dude, stop cheering for both of them. Pick a side.
I would have went off. I would have been like, dude, so do you want me to be named as a target? Like, why don't you shut the fuck up?
So,
right.
Yeah, with all this, we have to do a little bit revisionist history and go back. It's a question for Paulie. Did you really throw that elimination in USA 2 because Josh wouldn't shut the fuck up? Like, it wasn't that Bananas beat you. It was Josh wouldn't shut up, and you were like, I can't do this anymore.
Actually, everybody was fucking silent during that elimination. Like, all it was us going back and forth, hitting the target, and everybody going like, ooh, ooh, ooh. And then it was just us standing like dumbasses staring at each other for a long-ass time. And nobody was saying a fucking word. Everybody was sitting there like silent because nobody wanted to tip where in the house that they like lied. And I was like sitting there afterwards, people were like, man, we really wanted you to win. I was like, I don't know, maybe like shouting like, hey, your ice is really melting, buddy. Like, really extend that arm. Like, as you're watching us and you're watching me not moving and you're watching Bananas like back start to go, he's starting moving stuff, you would think like maybe just a shout of like, straighten your arm a bit. Be like, oh. Or like, hey, your thing is melted. Get on your tippy toes. You know what I mean? I wish somebody would have friggin' yelled there, but
the most surprising thing there is everyone was quiet was the fact that Dusty wasn't cheering for Bananas, but different story.
Oh my god, Dusty.
I mean, I forgot that man existed.
I didn't.
Didn't you have to live in a room with him?
I did.
Yeah,
I did.
You'll remember that one.
Nice guy. One of the funniest guys I've ever, met. Definitely crackhead energy. He was an absolute madman. Nice guy, super nice guy. But
yeah,
I definitely haven't forgotten he existed. I still follow him on Instagram, and every now and then a post comes by, and I'm like, yep, that's Dusty.
It's Jonny Fairplay, reality TV icon, Survivor Hall of Famer, and I'm talking today about Work Money. Work Money is a non-profit organization that focuses on lowering costs and raising incomes for all Americans to make American life more affordable and American families more economically secure. They provide products, services, perks, benefits, tips, and tools to help members improve their financial lives. It's time to level up and make more money in this economy. We're talking getting rich. Now, this sweepstakes is giving away $50,000. You can use this to pay your rent, your mortgage. Imagine what you can do with all the money that you'll save. Now, this is put on by Work Money, and this site has all these sick benefits, and it's free. Go sign up right now and get more rich. Now, listen, you can change your life. Now, what would you do if you didn't have to pay your rent or mortgage for a year? Listen, sign up right now for free. Link is available right here in the show notes. Check them out. Personally, I'd get more pinball machines. I'm Jonny Fairplay. I wouldn't lie about that. It's Work Money. More money.
Well, and then outside the Josh of it all, we do hear from like Cara, and Cara actually brought up a good point because it goes with something Derek mentions in the episode as well. Of like when Johnny looks like he's about to win the elimination, Cara's talking about how really it's all about Bananas Angels, but really he's the only angel because he's the only one who's consistently going down there and protecting his girls. The girls haven't won anything to go out and save him yet. You then hear from Derek about how like, like he's been able to be a fly on the wall because of all these bigger personalities, and you see him and Corey be like, I actually want Bananas to stay in because we know so many people are just going to pick him, and that's one less chance of me being put up. But like, Derek is actually in this unique position where I think a lot of the girls do just generally like him, and I think for different reasons, whether they like him or someone like Akara who like got to see him compete in a final in All Stars 4 and like sure went out in that like the shock comp or whatever, but it was like besides that was killing the final. I feel like there's good reasons for them to be like, oh, well, we're not gonna pick Derek, we're gonna pick Corey over Derek. We would have picked a Nehemiah, we would have picked a Theo over maybe not Kara there, but like other people would have been picked prior to Derek being picked.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, he hasn't seen an elimination yet, and he hasn't even really been on the table
Nope.
No.
to be in an elimination. He is not even on anybody's radar. I mean, you want to talk about an immaculate social game? I mean, he's playing one. As well as Jordan.
Yep. I think they're the only
Jordan.
two people who haven't been in elimination.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. My biggest worry with Derek is for the simple fact that not taking away anything from his social game because it is great, but I don't think he really has a true number one there. And so I think he's still fine, but is he going to have to see the last elimination or two simply just because he's good with everyone, but he's not their number one or number two? So it's where he could be a casualty.
He's Olivia's number one now that Theo's gone.
I just don't see her being around long.
I mean,
Maybe I'm wrong.
I haven't seen her win anything. I mean, she was even shocked, like when TJ was like, "You saw the post." She was like, "I got it right," and I was like,
No, yeah, absolutely.
"I'm like, clearly Horacio was the one carrying your team on your first season because it wasn't you."
It was her politically, but in the actual events of it all, yeah, it was Horacio for sure. But it goes back to what Carr was saying. Like Derek sort of has that girl's side though. Like he's in good with Michelle and Olivia and Cara and Tori. And so if Bananas is the one consistently getting thrown in and he keeps picking them, he's never going to get picked because they're not going to pick him as one of the targets. So it's a great situation for him, and I love that he's sort of playing selfishly like that and hoping for a Bananas win because he's like, it'll put my girls at risk. I'll lose one of them. But they're not going to pick me.
Yeah,
I'll be good.
And there's something that Rachel said this episode, and maybe it's obviously an advantage to her, but she won the duel too. It's one of her 2 wins, and she's the only one that's left that played that duel format where she really is playing the perfect game. And I think better, it's either her or Jordan, but Jordan at least gets nominated. So I say it's Rachel for the fact that you want to stay with the strong women, and the fact that it ends up being, all right, everyone that ever could possibly go down is good with Rachel. So she's never getting said.
Well, so the crazy thing is since it went to individuals, Rachel hasn't seen an elimination.
Yep.
No, she was the target once via Kyland, but that's been it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
the
she's
target,
playing
but when Bananas is the one winning eliminations,
well,
he's not
and it
gonna
was
pick her.
one where they flipped the coin, decided it was a male's day, so she was a fake target.
But what I'm saying is, out of all the people who can win dailies on the men's side, she's got Johnny's base covered. She's got Jordan's base covered. And then you even saw her this episode planting the seed in Kylan's head about, hey, the strong people have to watch out for each other because, the men's fate is in the women's hands and the women's fate is in the men's hands. And if I'm someone like Kylan, yeah, Michelle and Olivia are my number ones, in the game, but they're not looking like they're going to win any dailies to keep you safe anytime soon.
Well,
exactly. And it's the ultimate chef's kit. Great, once again, another week of great gameplay by Rachel where it's like, oh, I don't have Kylan. Kylan's the only person who really would nominate me. Let me feed into his ego right now. He just want to comp. Let me just go to him and be like, look, man, us strong people need to stick together. He's like, you know what? I am strong. You're right. You're right.
But
I am that caliber. We need to keep each other safe.
I mean, like before the mini final where he was like, I am a threat, or I am good at finals. And I was like, what final have you been in?
well,
Have you been in
even
one?
just yeah,
Has he been in
even
one?
how no, he hasn't. Even how she worded it, because she said maybe not right now, but in a week or two. And what Kylan can't figure out there is what she's saying is, well, Johnny's going to keep going down because he keeps throwing in the people that are going into elimination. Your friends Michelle and Olivia are not good competitors in this game, which means in the next week or two, they will be gone. So you have no other option than to come back to me, whereas you said, Alex, she planted the seed.
Yeah.
And he ate it up. Corey ate it up.
great
They're
seed.
all eating it up. Also, now post elimination, we obviously see like for all three people the stupid karma points, which I know I'm going to hate as soon as it gets revealed in the final.
Yeah.
Because I feel like it's actually going to matter, and
Yep.
I'm gonna be sick to my stomach about it. We said we were done talking about Laurel.
No, I said we were tabling it.
I-
We're never
I-
done.
I have
Come back.
I have such a bad taste in my mouth. Like, Johnny's been riding for you.
Oh,
He is the only person. Johnny's the only person who's been defending you all season. He's defending you in the postseason. He's in every single podcast finding a way to bring her up to be like, hey, see, Laurel's not that bad. She gave him a 1 because she's like, well, he's probably not even going to get there. So, give
That
your
logic
allies
is
a
so
fucking
backwards.
5 and move.
But that's like such backwards logic. Like she's
Yeah, well, she's
like-
not
she's
smart.
like, I'm just gonna give him a 1 because he's probably not gonna make the final. And then she's like thinking about it. She's like, nah, it's kind of funny. It's like, What?
She pretty much did, going back to Total Madness where Nelson was like, I'll fall on the sword for Corey. That's what Bananas has been doing the entire time when you never know it would never be reversed. But you always thought that, hey, Laurel's close with Johnny, despite the fact that we've seen different disagreements over the years. A 1, you couldn't even toss him like an average 3, just like, you're probably not going to be there. Love you, Johnny.
I'm sorry, if you guys are riding together, you give your ally a 5, point blank in the period, and you move. Like the other people, I can understand giving him 1s of like, hey, we want to see a new champion. This is a mechanic in the game, so it's fair game. We're going to give the guy who has the most championships a 1 and make him have the biggest hurdle. We're going to give Jordan a 1 or a 2 to give him another hurdle. It's like,
She's been on reality TV for how long? As soon as the words come out of her mouth, oh, can you show this? You're not going to show this, are you? You know it's making the screen. Like, you know it's going to make the show because you set it up that way.
Screen. Like, I didn't know which one of my karma points were gonna make the screen, so I just roasted everybody when I was giving the karma points, except for Kara, of course, and Jordan. I'm pretty sure I was very kind to. But everybody else, I roasted them. Just because I was like, this would be funny if they see me roasting them as I give them this number, you know?
Yeah,
Like-
absolutely. But I don't know. It just puts me the wrong way to give the person who's had your back the entire time a 1 because he's not even gonna make the final because he's being targeted. That makes no fucking sense. You give your ally a 5, and that's just should be how it is because you would want someone that you are working with to win the fucking game.
Especially when TJ says, like, these karma votes are important.
Yeah.
What it
They're important.
really makes me want to know is, I get for this point it doesn't matter for the game, but just to see how it all plays out. MTV released the footage. Everyone who's already been eliminated, I want to see all of Laurel's scores. I want it to be
Release
posted
the
everywhere
tapes.
because I want to see who rated her a 2 or higher because I don't think it was many people.
I don't think anybody voted her a 2 or higher. I'm trying to think of a single person who left early who would have voted her at this point, a 2 or higher. Definitely nobody in the first wave of people. Yeah, no, I'm not seeing anybody. The only person who I could see if they get eliminated would give her. Well, never mind. She's gone at this point, so it doesn't even matter. But if Josh had gotten eliminated before her, I think he would have given her higher
You
than
know,
a 2.
Kylan would have given her more than a 2 if he left early.
Oh, Kylan would have for sure. I mean, his
Kylan's, hey, apparently maybe Horacio gave her a 5 because he did say
Biggest
she was
blessing.
his biggest blessing.
Biggest blessing. The biggest blessing in the world. The biggest freaking blessing. Yeah.
Biggest blessing.
Yeah, Nerys and Laurel been going at it. I kind of was able to get under Theo's skin a little bit on social media this week.
Yeah, I saw him trying to call you out, and also Theo, sit down with you immediately going into Twitter after the episode talking about it. They made the perfect competition for Bananas. They wanted him in it. Like, well, one, they should want him in over you. Oh yeah, like immediately after the episode.
Let me go find this tweet.
It's like, oh, there's a size advantage. I'm like, oh, buddy, you mean like it's unfair that there was a size advantage when your first elimination was Fall Brawl?
I open the app and he's the first tweet. I don't even follow him.
No, but it's just like, don't complain to complain, and like, oh, you're asking to not be called back. If every single time something happens, like he complained last week about how his time wasn't really real and he wasn't actually last, and I'm like, oh, you need to sit down, man. Have some self-respect.
Even if you take his complaints, on the eliminations, the dailies out of it, I think I'm just worried. I'm worried for you, Paulie, just because I want you to have your chance for revenge on Theo, and based on what we've gotten, we may never see him again. Because I don't think he's done anything to warrant him coming back.
It's all right. I'm going to get him. I'm waiting to start his tweet.
You're gonna have to be the one as always.
All right, this is funny. He goes, anyway, always a pleasure. I had a great time on season 40, and as always, it's hell of an experience. Even if most of us complain at times. Until next time, maybe. P.S. Fuck Paulie.
Look, end of the day, this dude could make fun of you all you want for going early the last season. Dude still has your name in his mouth. You're on his mind, rent free.
I love it, man. It's good banter. He goes.
Well, he has to, because he knows he needs to get a reaction out of you to play off of, because nobody wants to see this ongoing battle with Fessy.
It's fun. Me and Theo.
It is fun.
Me and Theo are fun. It's fun to watch, and honestly, from Theo's perspective, I remember one time, after Worlds, he got drunk and he sent me a bunch of voice notes, and he was like, "It's not fun to play anymore. You're the Antichrist. We all need somebody to hate in there." He goes, "And that's you." He goes, "I fucking hate you," and I'm like, "All right, cool." So I'm always gonna be able to get that reaction at him in the house, and then outside of the house, we'll at least have some fun banter. But you need, everybody needs people that can, kind of stoke the flame a little bit, right? Tori's been boring for the past 5 seasons, and Bananas is that flame stoker for her. I mean, other than Jordan being an absolute animal, he's steered clear from drama. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So it's you need the people there who are going to be the drama starters, and be honest, if I'm Theo, it's you take out one of your biggest rivals, you fall in love, life's good. You're chilling.
But also, it's just because you're falling in love doesn't mean you have to go. So I hate the narrative that just because you are finding love in the challenge house that you suddenly have to become soft, and that's the excuse for why you're not playing well.
I was finding love in the challenge house and was an absolute maniac.
Yeah, there's so many people who find love in the challenge house who still compete well during the competition. It's you making active choices to not be locked in. Because you can be locked in and be in a relationship.
Here's the thing, all right? You should be locked in because you never know when a girl's going to Naya you and have 2 people going, all right? If you start finding love in the challenge house, what happens if you go home and then all of a sudden it's all right, he ain't here no more. I'm gonna just go bang somebody else. You know what I mean? That's the risk, man. Listen, Olivia's still in the house.
Kylan's now single in that house again. You can't trust that man.
What I wanted to ask is, I know CT was accused on it, Rivals too, and then others of, politicking. Has Jordan played the best long-term politicking game of all time? Because all of his exes apparently he's got a magic dick. Because once he sleeps with them, they're just like, I will never say anything bad about you ever.
Yeah.
I will put my game above yours. And it's kind of remarkable.
But it's remarkable because when would you ever have heard the phrase of, like, my ex-fiance won, so I know I'm safe?
Never. Let me tell you something.
Danny
If
Jameson
Tara and I
didn't hear
broke
that.
up tomorrow, that shit would be like Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the Challenge House. It would be one right after the other, taking shots at each other, and then somehow at the end of it, we'd be like, I guess we love each other again. Right? But it would literally be that every week. Because it's like, why would I want to help my ex in the house? You know what I mean? If any of my exes showed up to an ex's season, you talk about my Big Brother ex, my Bachelor ex, my ex on the beach ex, if any of them showed up and it wasn't a paired ex's season, I'd be like, so glad to see you after all this time. Guess who's going into the first elimination? You are. Don't want to see you here at all. Don't need you here. Don't want you here.
It's just such a weird, like, situation because, like, they have their breakup. It's, like, very messy at first, and then they, like, reconcile, quote unquote, on, like, the seasons that follow. So Total Madness and all that shit. It's like, but when you're both such great competitors, and in every season you've been in, it's only been beneficial to work with each other and not be against each other. It's like, it's almost like the perfect setup.
Well,
I think that's more so coming from I think if Jordan wasn't as good as he is, it would not work in his favor this
I
way.
agree. Mm-hmm. I agree.
At all. Because, he just so happens to have, a bunch of strong girls that he's hooked up with. It's just wild to me. I mean, you got Laurel, you got Tori, you've got Naya. You've just got, Nerisse at some point, right?
John A.
John
Sarah Rice.
Yeah, Sarah Rice, who
Rice,
was a potential option for the season. It's like,
just absolutely wild. But I also feel like if he was not good, they wouldn't sit there and be like, yeah, hold up, I'm going to just have your back.
right. It would just be like, they could be friends, but it wouldn't be to the degree of, we are protecting this man at all costs.
Because
He
he's
is
also
my
protecting
lifeline.
us at all costs.
And it could also, this could be part of the reason maybe Devin being gone early too, is because Tori, she's looks to be maybe blowing up with Josh in the previews. You never know. But Jordan could have been the only person she could really turn to. And even if she still is good with Josh at this point in the game, Josh ain't winning anything. So you obviously want to lock it in with someone who can win when they both won the first individual challenge of the season.
At this point on the guys' side, the only two people I see winning the dailies from here on out is Jordan or Kyland.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I don't Derek is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think he can beat those two from a daily standpoint, nor do I think he wants to. I think he's fine with just, as long as I'm not last place, I'm not going to get picked as a target.
Mm-hmm.
I'd agree with that.
That's my exact thought.
I think Corey has an outside shot. Not a good one, but if everything aligned right, it's possible. But obviously puzzles and nothing like that can be involved, which there always seems to be an equalizer.
I don't know. If I'm Corey, I'm nervous right now. As much as he was saying, how I'm, I would rather Bananas being here because he's this massive shield for me. There's only so many guys left, and as soon as any of these girls are going to pick Corey as one of the options.
That's what I wanted to ask, is so we go in, it really doesn't matter who in the house wins next week, whether it's one of the 3 nominated people or whoever would come in last. So put everyone on the table.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to say 3 guys' name, who isn't saying Corey? Because I think all of them might. Maybe Tori doesn't, but...
Yeah, Tori seems to be
but
chilling
Tori
more
also
with Corey
wouldn't be
right
an
now.
option. So
I think, Corey might get picked by Tori because Tori would think that Corey would have a better chance in an elimination against Bananas. Like, I think she's fully in that mindset now of, besides Jordan, putting anyone else who's left has a strong elimination record in the same pool as Bananas.
Yeah.
And then hope that eventually he loses.
Yeah. I think Corey really is. He's dead man walking at this point. His only saving grace is he is good at eliminations.
Yeah, the matchups are going to be interesting moving forward because like you have Corey, you have Bananas, you have Jordan, you have Kylan, like who has been good in eliminations, but a lot of them have been math. I want to see less math there. But there's a lot of
elimination beast Josh. Don't forget him. He's won like once.
The elimination beast.
See, you know what? Let's get a Josh Jordan elimination. And it's Tug of War Part 2.
You want to know what's really crazy is he has only ever, the most eliminations he's ever done in a season is 2. Because usually
he only has one win.
He only
has one win.
He only has one win, which is crazy because I think his record is like 1-6.
It's a really bad record, and that win wasn't even impressive. That other dude just literally could not do a puzzle to save his life.
Yeah,
so
it was.
He would have lost War of the Worlds 1, 2, Total Madness.
He won the elimination in Double Agents.
It's Double Agents, so one, two,
Double Agents,
Total
then
Madness, he lost. Yeah, win and then lost.
Spies, Lies, and Allies.
Lost.
And then USA
2.
So I think
lost.
He's at 6.
So he's at 6. So he's 1-6 at this point. So if he goes in and loses, he's 1-7 in eliminations. Which does anybody have that kind of track record for
only like
Jamison
Corey and
Tyree.
Leroy in finals? But like
it's Tyree and Danny Jamison. They're both 0-6 in eliminations.
Hey, he has the one win. Then he has the one win. He's safe. But barely.
And I'm sure there's other people as well, but I know those are the two that are tied for most eliminations done without a win.
So let's see. Next week, who do we think is hitting the elimination floor for the girls? Obviously not Tori. She may actually just continue to win and stay safe, if I'm being honest. I highly doubt Rachel or Cara are going to see the elimination floor, but I can see either Aviv, Michelle, or Olivia hitting the floor.
I can see it. I think this is all set up based off how the season has been going, that you probably see Michelle or Olivia automatically in and the other one get voted in.
They've both done so bad in the dailies. I don't know. Paulie, you're going to be our expert on this. Will Aviv be able to walk on her plantar fasciitis next week?
Not if she has a lacrosse ball to roll out on her, if she stretches it out. With all the foot massages that people are giving out in there, she couldn't get a foot massage from somebody.
Emily's already gone. Emily's gone. She can't give the massage.
Listen,
I need something else. I love Aviv. This cannot be her story. Damn.
Oh, yeah, please don't let this be her story. She's so much better than just, I have plantar fasciitis.
She is so much better than I have plantar fasciitis, but she said it in such like a mom way.
Yeah.
And it was like hilarious. It's like, my plantar fasciitis is just like acting up. It's like that is, you don't worry about plantar fasciitis when you're in your like teens or 20s. Like I understand this. I've only had it as of recent of the past like 2-3 years. When somebody said plantar fasciitis to me, I was like, never, not me. Boom, here.
Yeah.
Hate it.
I got it as a teenager in baseball, but like you just ran it out. A couple of weeks later, I was fine. I was like,
you just stretch it out.
She said it was bad on her heel. Don't be on your heel then. Just stay on your toes. You're good. You're good.
Start planting your foot when you're running. Stop doing the heel toe method. I don't know. I don't think Aviv's getting taken out by plantar fasciitis. I think we haven't had we haven't had any eliminations of people who are friends or like, ride or dies for each other go against each other. I have a feeling that we're getting a Michelle Olivia matchup.
I think we are too, but yeah, you forget the brother off.
Don't you
of
say
Tori
damn.
and Casey.
I wasn't even going to correct it because I didn't want to talk
Sorry.
about it.
Sorry, I that's how much that elimination is not
Plugging in the outlets. Who could forget that
Hashtag
that buzzer
brother
beater.
off. Put that in the chat, folks.
the brother off. Although I will say, Casey, rest in peace to your father. Sending love and prayers your way.
Yes, absolutely.
But that brother off was god awful, and I'm sure he said that also. Because he seems like the kind of guy that would tell you how it is. Shoot it straight. Lovable guy, coach.
I agree with both of you on your predictions. I am going to say it's going to be one of those Michelle or Olivia going against Aviv. That way she can win and we can talk about something else. Get my girl something positive. And get an elimination win under her belt.
Look, Olivia's love struck right now. She just wants to go back to her boo. I would not be surprised to see her lose because now she doesn't have that person who gives more confidence in her than she has in herself. I'm tired of that line. I'm so fucking tired of that line of my love interest is gone and they believed in me more than I ever believed in myself. Tori did it earlier this season of I don't have confidence in myself as a winner. I'm like, can you please quiet down now that you've been first, second, first again?
In here, when I go home early, I get really pissed off because if I was still in the game at this point in time, I'd be like, that's it, I'm winning. Everybody else is breaking.
You don't hear Cara in her.
Got how to get rid of Jordan real quick.
Right. You didn't hear Cara in confessional the next episode after you were gone be like, Paulie's gone, and without Paulie here, he's the one who really inspires me to go all out. She was like, well, now I have to do it on my own. I was like, yeah.
Well, it's really telling because the people that do these confessionals like the Olivias and stuff like that, they're the ones where they're dating someone new every single season. So I think that's just an automatic. You gave that confessional. Now we do know her and Theo still going strong. Good for them.
They are still going strong.
But for the most part, as soon as you hear that, you're just being like, oh, you're going to be sleeping with someone else in 6 months when the new season airs.
They're going so strong right now. I'm hearing chapels of love in my earbuds right now. They're gonna go get married out in the chapel. Good. I'm hearing people are getting papers.
Chapel and gonna get married.
Yeah. Yes.
They're doing it.
It'll be a race. Who gets married first, them or Nerys and Horacio?
100% Nerys and Horacio. Again, I'm shocked that it's got to be coming.
I'm waiting.
That or a pregnancy, one of the two.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I don't know.
Maybe both.
It's a toss up. That's a good thing to put a wager on, but.
Don't threaten Dan with a good time. He'll put money on it.
Leave that to you guys, okay?
What kind of odds can I get on that?
Leave in the comments. Do you think that Horacio and Nerys will get married first or get pregnant first? And we will see.
We'll do a tally.
I think they'll keep it old school because I think Horacio is that kind of guy.
Yeah, and I truly believe Nerys is I would want to be married first before I then have children with this person.
We'll see. I would hope so. I
would hope so. You know her better than us.
Yeah, I know her. She's been my friend for a long time. I think maybe there was a point in her life where she'd be all right being baby mama first before that, but I think now where she's at is wife first.
No,
then children.
I'm rooting for him.
You're probably right. I'm just, you put two beautiful people like that in the same room. I'm willing to say that, whoopsies happen.
Listen, you got to make sure you're on some strong birth control. Strong.
Yeah.
I'm sure
you can't just count on you can't count on being the biggest blessing, So
depends on what kind of blessing you're shooting in there,
Anyway. And with that, Dan, I think you should round this one out.
I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. Well, this has been a good one. I'm sure next week we'll still be shitting on Laurel more as more stuff comes out, so we have that to look forward to. But that's going to do it for us. We will be back again next Wednesday after the episode. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell, like, and subscribe. That way you get notified every time we go live. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at, make sure to like and review. Give us 5 stars. It helps us out tremendously. And also, check out some of the other shows that are going on in the network. I don't know, we have like 4 different Survivor shows going on now. Every possible reality show we're covering somewhere. So follow Reality After Show on all platforms. You'll get all the latest and greatest that comes out. And as always, the best way to support the podcast is become a patron at realitypatron.com. Sign up for a month, enjoy it, or we will give you your money back. You'll have to take that up with Johnny, not me. He's the one that handles that. But that's going to do it for us. That's Paulie. That's Alex. I'm Dan. And we will see y'all next week.